Hello, folks, and welcome to the first sort of Hollow Podcast, which has returned once again. I am joined today with the lovely Michcat. Say hello, Mitch.
Yo.
I am joined with Cherry. Say hi, Cherry.
Evening.
And I'm joined with Rue, my co-host for today. I'd like to start off the show by getting introductions through, and first we're going to talk with Mitch a little bit about yourself, what you do around the server, things like that.
Right. Well, Michcat, I'm an admin on the server of Hollowworld, and what I do around it is mostly break the server and mess things up. I also try to pull off various crazy shenanigans and events, work on a lot of actual staff measures, and general keeping the peace.
Awesome. All right, Cherry, now it's your turn. And tell us a little bit about what you do on the server.
Okie dokie. Righty. I'm Cherry, as Ice has so conveniently said. Some of you know me on the forums as Phelan. I'm a mod, so my job to tell people off. I mean, be lovely and friendly and things. So my job is general moderation, whitelisting, that sort of thing. And apart from that, just being active in roleplay and managing various culture shenanigans in the north.
Okay. And we are also joined with Rue, who is the technical guy behind all of this, running the stream, running the recordings, and all that. And he will be in and out, popping in and out, and talking to us. First thing we're going to start with today, let me pull up my little schedule here. We're going to talk about some server news, what's been going on in Hollowworld and all those things. So, Mitch and Cherry, why don't you tell us about what's been going on with you guys and what's going on in all things Hollowworld? Start with Mitch.
Lately?
Yes, lately.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, as I'm pretty sure everyone who's played on Hollowworld is aware, we currently have a campaign going on called The Return, and there's been a lot of people alluding it to the return of grief or from the recent exoduses, the return of world destruction, maybe hinting to another exodus coming up. It's been what's arguably taking up most of my time when working on Hollowworld. And while I can't say anything for certain, I am very excited to see how this pans out because we are very close to the actual end of the campaign.
Really? Is it how close? Like a month, do you think, or a couple months?
Oh God. Not a month. Thank goodness. But close.
Cool.
I try not to say too much because I try not to spoil the people too badly.
Right, definitely. So, Cherry, tell us a little bit what's been going on with what's been going on in Hollowworld for you. What are you up to? What are the shenanigans you're doing up in Hollowworld right now?
Oh man, all the event stuff. Mostly being strung along by Michcat's crazy campaign ideas. Damn you, Mish. Plotting, scheming, trying not to get brutally murdered in our roleplay. All good fun. Managing Lamar, and that's a lot of building and supplying seeds to Tomahawk, who is managing one of our regions in the north, which means lots and lots of tilling.
So, do you plan to expand the big Stormhold city you have going on right now? Is that like future plans?
Not so much expand as fill up with lots of lovely houses and hopefully people. We have quite a few players, quite a few new people joining the Norvagen recently, which is lovely. We're going to build the hall, hopefully. So that's already partially built. Most of the foundations are down now. Got lots of the shops in the main square finished. Just need to build lots and lots of houses.
Awesome. That sounds pretty fun. My character, Aethril, has just been thrown all over the place. Corrupted,
Yes.
non-corrupted. So I'm currently just following what's been going on with Mitch's crazy events and all that fun stuff. Trying to build up on Thill a little bit, the village.
See, you say it's fun now.
Just stuff like that. Building up on Thill a little bit, getting back into the Alchemist Guild swing of things. So yeah, good time with that. Mitch, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the events, what's going on? You know, how it all started?
The entire corruption campaign?
Yeah, the
Well,
entire
it
thing.
started with a bit of lead up with the elementals, if people can remember the events revolving around the Sea of Storms.
Oh, vividly.
Unfortunately, what I was trying to push people to uncover the actual Sea of Storms never came to fruition. But it was able to seg nicely into the return campaign, which has been planned since the November of last year. What I was hoping to get from the Sea of Storms campaign, the very, I suppose you could say, beginning of all this, was to be, you could call it a poll, you could call it a research survey. I suppose I was trying to find out how to structure events, what would be the best way to run things with the servers, so we would have the best things going on for the main event. Which,
Right.
as I've mentioned before, is the return campaign to do with the
Mhm.
gods and the corruption.
So, are there plans after this event, you know, for changes?
Of course there is.
There's always a plan. It's Michcat.
Always. So, are there going to be... Oh, go on.
Let's see. For what I can tell everyone for certain, and for following post the return campaign, is it's going to be the gods. Again, a lot of the deity business has been planned for a very, very long time now. And believe me, I've been making future plans throughout this entire campaign. But what you can look forward to in the very near future is priesthoods and the church being set up properly this time once more, and a certain more rise in activity from the deities of Altera being able to interact with the player base and create a better function of roleplay. I'm sorry, I'm a bit dehydrated.
No, you're good. That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. So is it going to be a lot more player interaction with the gods then after this?
That's the idea.
Awesome.
I know how people, sort of akin to what happened with the elementals, might be thinking that the gods are going to drop off the face of the map as soon as the campaign ends, but that's not what we're intending to happen. What, like I said, what we'd like to do is get the church, the priesthood, have the pantheon actually become a very relevant thing in Altera.
Right. Okay, cool. So tell me this, Mitch. When you were planning these events and, you know, getting the ideas ready, was it just you or was it Nailwin too and all those people?
That depends on what event you're talking about. It's always been a very large collaboration of Sally, Sherbert, myself, Legion, Nailwin, the entire management team, and lots of other staff members who've been very kind enough to contribute and help us out with things.
Right, that's awesome.
So, I suppose if you want to look at the entire mess of campaigns and events as a whole, you could say the entire staff team of Altera has somehow contributed. If you want to be looking at certain things, I suppose I can bring up what's been working, who's been working on that.
Yeah, definitely, sure.
Well, it depends on what you're interested in, Mr. Host.
So, let's talk about the elementals for a little bit, because I know a lot of people were interested with the idea behind those guys and what's been going on with that, with Shoreless and all those people.
The elementals was something I was hoping to become interactable, but eventually fell out.
Really? So...
Yes.
Okay.
Though we probably will be seeing them again in the last throes of this campaign, and they may come to play in the future, but the elementals are part of the backstory of Altera and the back lore. There's many, many secrets and not secrets, which are simply little tidbits of information hiding in plain sight that are all dependent on players finding them out in character and then spreading the information. Arguably, the strongest weapon Altera has right now is communication, and it's the weapon they're not using very often.
Indeed, yeah, that's a big problem I've seen players. So as we move from the elementals and into the actual corruption, what was the idea behind the corruption other than grief? How did you choose which gods were to be corrupted, things like that?
Well, see, that leads to a lot of spoilers that would be very relevant for the endgame of the campaign. If the campaign had already been finished, I would be more than happy to release and, I suppose, reveal all that, because it would have already been revealed.
Right.
Unfortunately, I can't answer those questions right now.
Okay.
Save the nature of the corruption.
All right.
The corruption, it's been said many, many times that the Nether is a sort of corrupted land on the planar infinity world alongside Altera. And the corruption is, some people call it an infection, some people call it a natural part of the land. The corruption is a sort of mindless directionist. It's a world, same as grass, or one could say bees.
Okay. So it's basically sort of a thing that has a life of its own, sort of thing, right?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay.
It has been revealed that the corruption is attacking Altera due to this directionless thing having some semblance of direction. And in the history of the world, the only thing that has ever been known to quote-unquote control the corruption has been the Queen Grief.
Right, and now that Queen Grief is gone, there's nothing really there to control it. And so we have Herateth here, who is, controlling it and trying to,
Well, I wouldn't quite say that. There's still a lot of research to be done.
Right.
And if there's one thing I'm sure people can attest to with me, is that never believe what you see firsthand.
Oh, yes.
Can confirm.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about the corruption? Anything you'd like to say?
About the corruption specifically?
Or
I'd
anything
like
at
to
all.
see people take different approaches to try and, I guess, combat it, or maybe even drive it out of their world.
Right, yep.
I would also like to see people take advantage of the research outlets we have. If there's anything else you'd like me to say concerning the entire campaign, it's if people think there's nothing left to surprise them, then I'd say they're very sorely mistaken.
Why don't we talk about the plague a little bit for a second, since that's a big thing that's happening within...
Well, plague began seemingly out of nowhere, though some people who've paid very close attention could tell you that it seems to have been started from the botched summoning of a heretic god of suffering, which resulted in the god of suffering Jishrim stopping by instead.
Yep, okay.
I'm based the plague on actually a lot of research of my own. And I'm letting it being run mostly by the server and the player's own initiative.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of players, interact with it well and roleplay it with it well, and I'm pretty impressed with how they've been handling it, going about
that's
role-playing with it.
very nice of you to say that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I can tell you that I have a fun little forum conversation with all members of the Plague who are called Carriers, and as I said in the initial thread, I want to put the credit to the video game by Valve, Left 4 Dead 2, for sort of kind of inspiring this, if only for the terminology. These people of the Plague are unfortunately not sick, so you can't most of them aren't sick. So you can't really tell, but they are spreading it wherever they go.
So if they walk around, they could be spreading it throughout, waterways and things like that. If it's a close, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All their loved ones are going to die.
I know quite a bit of research has gone into the plague itself. I know quite a few people have been researching. I know my character, with a couple other scientists and whatever, have started research, and I think that's a great, role play initiative to get them started with that. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, so now we're gonna move, I think, unless we have anything else about corruption or the event itself that you would like to mention, Mitch, before we close it out here. No? All right.
Very well.
Okay. We're gonna move into some political things. We're gonna move over to Cherry's culture, the Norvagen.
Oh.
Cherry, why don't you talk a little bit about what the Norvagen are, the idea behind them, things like that.
Okay, right. I'm confused. You've mixed politics and culture. What is this? But no, culture. The Norvagen are essentially your not quite so bog standard northern culture. They live in the northeast of Altera on a small continent. Well, I say small, rather large continent. Their half of which is called Avanor, literally meaning New North. And they have been inspired by a number of real-life cultures, such as the Celts, the Picts, Norse culture, Germanic culture. And it's all sort of mixed up, twisted together. Lots of writing happened, and the Norvagen came out. So if you think sort of the Nords of Skyrim, but with several less old-fashioned twists, I suppose. So they have different religious beliefs to most humans in Altera. They do believe in the pantheons. They're still polytheistic, but they don't believe in worship. In fact, in their ancient language, which is now obsolete, there is no word for prayer or worship, because they believe that two patrons of their faith, the warrior and the dragon, exist only to give guidance rather than to give specific boons or benefits. So, of course, this campaign that's running at the moment, The Return, has had some lovely shenanigans to do with that, because suddenly gods that were believed to be entirely neutral and any intervention from them was considered momentous, and something only really happening in the creation of the world. Suddenly divines are everywhere. What's going on? So it's all been very interesting at the moment.
Right.
Yeah,
sounds...
Mish.
Whoops.
So I've heard there's been quite a few additions to the family of the Norvagen. Is that true? Quite a few more players have taken on the role.
We've been gaining a lot of people, and not just Norvagen either. We've had a few travellers to the north, one or two people from houses that have since fallen or been absorbed into others. Yes, Mish. A particularly loud elf. We've had some new additions to the culture itself, such as Forest Rose, Betty. We've got Mokwa. We've got several people. I should really load up the conversation and give you a lovely list, but we'd be here a little while.
A little while, right. So, how have they been responding fully to the corruption then? I know they've been questioning the gods and things like that, but is there any initiative that's been taken by the culture to do anything about it?
At the very, very beginning of the campaign, my character Freya actually discussed with the culture, with the people in the north, whether they intended to act as a culture or whether the general consensus was to stay the heck out of it. And there was quite a positive response from that. People were, on the whole, inclined to get involved. So that was nice to see. We've had one character in particular, hats off to Hope, King Hope, whose character is researching the spread of the plague, I believe, and yes, that's been good to see. We've had people getting involved in individual events in the south, so investigating, trying not to die, Mish, and all that fun stuff.
So how did the culture itself start out then from the beginning? How did how did your culture start? Did you just create it on a whim, or did you have an idea behind it, or?
Oh boy. Well, the culture actually has quite a bit more history than just the date that's on the page, that I've posted. I was actually writing the lore for a considerable length of time before it was released, and had several ideas because the original house, Lonmar, which was the kind of starting point for the culture, left the server mainly due to personal reasons. We'd sort of got to the high point of activity and then fizzled out a little. We'd lost a couple of players. So the idea was to use that as an opportunity to kind of renew the house, renew the culture, put a new leader in place. Of course, Draco left me the funds, the region, out of character. So that was the starting point. And then we kind of took all the ideas we'd had in the past. So a dislike of magic, a combination of Norse, Celtic mythology, this idea of balance versus neutrality that's quite prevalent in the lore, but also a culture of contrast. So they're considerably jovial people. Oh, hello. With lots of celebrations, very intricate crafts, but they're also pretty damn hardy. There's a lot of honor, there's a lot of tradition. They're very, very keen on their religion, spirituality, and they're quite grave, pretty solemn as a people.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people were interested in playing part of that culture,
from your channel.
how do they go about joining that group? Can you give us a little info on how they should, contact you, or?
Yes, indeedy. Yes, as I said, I've released the lore page. It should be found floating in the lore section of the forums under humans. There's a section on the cultures, and there is a lovely lengthy thread there with some information on how to join. And it's not quite as terrifying as it looks. It's essentially just send me a character profile so I can be sure you've understood the lore. You don't need to memorize it. I'm not going to make you cram it. I'm not going to test you on it. But as long as you understand, all is fine. I'm happy to answer any questions on it. If anyone's confused, I'm not going to crucify them for not being sure on a point. And then I can add you to region, add you to the house, and get you going.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. If you are interested in joining part of the whole Norvagen subculture, make sure to contact Cherry about that. So, now it's a little time for questions. We're going to move into the question time. So, this is from the thread. We asked people throughout, the forums to ask questions for each of you two staff members. So, I'm going to start reading off these questions. I want you to answer them as best you can, okay? If you are uncomfortable with the question, you don't have to answer, because I know some of these might get a little, testy or whatever.
I'll live.
Okay. So the first question is from Alex and Regged, and he asks, what's your political and maybe religious point of view?
In the server?
Oh boy.
I believe it is out of the server.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm a proud worshipper of Horateth.
Oh god.
So we can start with Mitch, and then we'll go to Cherry. So if you want to answer the question, if you don't want to, you don't have to.
I suppose I don't really mind, as long as you're not interrupting anyone else's, lifestyle, or it's suppose you could call it the rule of you're allowed to punch as much as you want, as long as it doesn't hit someone else.
And what about you, Cherry?
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were done. I'm sorry. Apologies. Keep continuing.
Go, Mish.
Well, okay. Politically, sort of akin to that, I'm aware of what's going on, but I wouldn't say that I really support any one particular movement. My support lies with general goodwill and common sense. And like I said, religiously, I I don't believe in a religion, but I do want to respect other people's beliefs and what they do with their lives.
Okay, all right. And now, what about you, Cherry? About this whole political and religious views?
Oh, me am I. Well, someone once sort of famously asked me, "Oh, where do you sit politically? You know, you left, you right?" And I rather cockily answered, "Above, thanks." But yeah, I'm not really sure because I have kind of mixed views. And in the UK, there isn't really a political body or movement that I fully agree with. Because in terms of social ideals, I quite favour the left of politics. I'm quite liberal in that sense, but in terms of more economic viewpoints, I'm far more inclined to right-wing politics. So I'm in a bit of a pickle, really. God knows what I'm going to do when I'm able to vote.
We're the worst people to ask those questions if you want
yes,
an
we
entertaining
are.
podcast.
Yeah. So now we are going to move to the next question. This question is from Pirate Poof, and he asks, "What would you do if from one day to the next, Hollowworld is gone and there's no way of retrieving it?"
Oh God, no.
Go draw sad things and watch a lot of feel-goody shows.
Oh
about
man. Oh, that's a horrible inevitability. That's not good. No, that can't happen. No. It's never gonna happen. No. I would probably read a lot, write a lot, draw a lot, mope a lot, and Skype everyone to death.
Type everyone to death.
Yep.
Okay, let me find the next question here. Okay. These are a couple of other questions from Alex and Reg, so I'll read them off for you. So his first question is, what's the best roleplay you ever got into?
Oh boy.
Oh God.
Yeah. So if you want to go into detail with it, you can. If you don't want to, whatever you wish to do, just go ahead and start it off, Mitch.
There's too many. I honestly don't know which one to choose.
Is there any that come into your mind, when you think of one of your favorites?
Oh boy. I'd probably go with the various emotional and amusing roleplays that my character Tizemic has had. Most specifically noting the fun banter that would always go along with, like, say, Tizemic and Luna, or between Tizemic and the other members of the corrupted faction when the character was a part of that. It was very entertaining and always brought a smile to my face.
What about you, Cherry?
Oh man, I've been here for 2 years. How do I choose? What? No, I just coming straight to my mind. I've actually had a lot of fun RPing within this campaign because it's given Freya, my character, a chance to meet people and speak to people on a level that she usually would certainly not speak to them on. So, for example, the Norvagen utterly revile magic. They are pretty terrified of it, really. And of course, there's been the corruption going mad, and everyone's been having to work together. So she's been having to work with people who were enemies of Lonmar in the past, for example, the Engines, with people known to do magic. And it's been really quite interesting because there's been a lot of conflict as to what exactly qualifies as right and wrong within this campaign.
Very interesting. All right, cool. So the next question he asks, what do you think's the best platform for roleplay? So I believe he's talking about,
Not Minecraft.
Definitely not Minecraft.
Though it works in a pinch.
Yeah, it does. I think the way we run the server, I think it works very, very well with, the Minecraft itself, the roleplay chats and the other character chats. I think it's it's great. So I don't think I would choose anything other than Minecraft itself, but I mean, who knows? I heard that StarCraft and all those games have some pretty good roleplay servers up too. Anyways, moving to the next question. What do you think about Oculus Rift being sold to Facebook? Is it good or bad, and why?
I'm going to hastily Google what that is.
Oculus.
Honestly, I don't have too many feelings on the matter. I imagine that if Facebook is at all able to do something good with Oculus Rift, then they will, and people will flock to it regardless. And if they end up failing miserably, they will fail miserably and won't have a very large base of people.
So, Cherry, you didn't know what the Oculus Rift was then?
I have absolutely no idea, and now I feel like a little bit ignorant, and I'm going to have a lot of research to do tonight.
It's an interesting concept. I've seen plenty of videos on it and things like that. I don't think I'd personally have it for myself to use. I think maybe eventually I'd get it if everybody got it and was using it, but I don't have an emotion towards it with the Facebook.
Oh no,
thing.
is this the Blu-ray of games consoles?
Yeah, maybe. It
Oh
might
god.
be just that. It might be just that. All right. So next part we are going to okay. So the person asks, would you roleplay with Oculus Rift and a headset? Would you, if you were?
No.
No, not at all.
No.
I have no idea.
It's hard enough to separate from your character in very emotion-heavy roleplays. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, that was okay. So the next question we have here is it's from Sir Andrew Wallens. If you were to be in Altera, like in real life, but in Altera, and before a bunch of gods got corrupted, who would you prefer to worship?
Ooh.
Could you please repeat the question?
Yep. If you were to be in Altera, like in real life, but in Altera, and before all the gods were corrupted, which god would you worship?
Well, honestly, when I first joined the server, my sort of main character worshipped the god Thyrian, because I thought that was pretty cool. Then they ended up, killing Thyrian without a word of warning, and my poor character was very confused for a very long time. I think if I had to worship a god, it would probably either Korog or Crusade, because in a world so fighty as Altera, that'll probably keep me alive the most.
Okay. And what about you, Cherry? What god would you worship?
God, that is a good one. I've always rather liked Rahas. Simply because it's been the one closest to my roleplay personally on Hollowworld, because it was the patron god of Stormhold during the time of the Inquisition and the Golden Crusade, when being a heretic really wasn't a good idea.
All right. Okay, so the next question we have is from Squid, and the question asks, what is the saddest thing you ever witnessed in a Hollowworld roleplay? What about on the Hollowworld forums?
Oh no.
Oh boy. The saddest thing I've ever witnessed in a Hollowworld roleplay was a while back when the Exodus had just finished, and someone attempted to assassinate my character, Lemeth, the Queen of Altera, and it didn't go very well because they attempted this while she was surrounded by Naelwyn and Varar and her royal guard and various other powerful friends.
Ah.
Okay, and what about you,
honestly, I just felt bad about the entire thing because they looked like they really were trying.
And what about you, Cherry?
Oh God. I'm just reeling through a number. There have been a few. I think one of the ones is kind of stuck with me for the shock factor of quite how sad it was when my very first character, Phelan, kind of fell into the trap of taking revenge on someone who'd really, really quite badly hurt a lot of people she'd felt strongly towards. And yes, it resulted in sad thing.
Okay, and the next question is from Squid again, and he asks, do you think you could ever leave Hollowworld? Tell why. I don't think I could ever leave Hollowworld, because this place is amazing. But...
Do I think I could ever leave Hollowworld, and tell why? I guess the quote unquote normal thing to say would be, oh no, I could never leave Hollowworld, because it is amazing and it's captivating and it's absolutely lovely and it eats up all of my free time and I love it. But to be perfectly honest, if I move to a more busier, more priority point in my life, or if, say, far in the distant future, something, to do with my actual life came up, I would very sadly and very regretfully have to leave Hollowworld.
Alright, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that happening, yeah. What about you, Cherry?
Well, presently, I'd have to be dragged away kicking and screaming, because it does utterly dominate my free time, what little of it there is. Curse you, exams. But, as Mish said, there's no telling what's going to happen in the future. And I do want to do things, so if I go run away travelling for X amount of time, then it'll be X amount of time before I see you again.
Okay. The next question we have comes from It's a Boy, and he asks, question, if you were in charge of Hollowworld solely, what changes would you make?
Oh God.
I am in charge. Kidding, I'm not. What changes would I make? Well, if I was able to be in charge of Hollowworld, because I actually can't do as much as I think it seems I can. But for one, there would be dragons, and there would be half-dragons, and there would be vampires, and I'd probably mess everything up, and it would be amazing!
Yeah.
What about you?
Demigods.
An orphan assassin.
Well, with that response, the first thing I'd do is swap with Mission, put Mission charge. Because that's amazing.
Is there anything you would change then, Cherry, or?
I'm weird as it is, and I don't know if it's cliche to say this or really, really quite bizarre, but I'm kind of happy as things are, really. I really enjoy role-playing. I really enjoy the stories that come out of it, all the character development and all that happening at once for so many different people. And I don't know, I just like it.
And the next question from It's a Boy is, what is your favorite kind of pie?
Blackberry pie.
Oh. Never had blackberry.
It's delicious.
Oh,
Never had blackberry pie.
Would it be bad of me to say cherry? No,
No, I think that would be perfect, Cherry.
Okay, cherry.
Alright, and now we could go back to another question from Alex and Reg, and he asks, is the cake a lie or not?
It's totally a lie. Everything is a lie. What if you're just dreaming? You're dreaming this all because you're really asleep and the world is a lie.
Bad lie.
His next question asks, what's the best game you ever played?
Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a great one.
I have a lot of nostalgia for Spyro myself because that's kind of the first set of games I ever played. And I was tiny, and it was on the PlayStation 2, and I used to be terrified of the spiders because, my God, were they scary.
And he asks, what's the worst game you've ever played?
Super Mario Dance Dance Revolution.
What?
It's
That's a thing.
both
That exists?
beautiful and horrible. Yes, it's a thing. It's for the GameCube. A friend of mine had it as a whim. Okay, and when we all tried playing it together, the friend of mine who's a very big fan of Mario ran out of the house crying.
Oh
God.
my.
It's both beautiful and horrible. It's one of those things that's so bad it's good.
Oh no.
What about you, Cherry? Any terrible games you've played?
Oh God. I'm gonna have to say Pac-Man, purely because it's terrifying. Like, I cannot play that game. I will get completely out of it because it's just, oh my God, far too stressful.
The next question comes from Barbarian Gaming, and he asks, if you actually existed in Altera, where would you live?
Somewhere
Next
far
to
away from Mish.
Sally's bake. Oh, thanks, Cherry. That makes
It's
me
not
feel so much
safe.
better. I would live next to Sally's bakery.
Oh.
Somewhere warm, preferably, and not like England.
I'd probably live in Sale because it's a great place, or Lidl because that little halfling town is a great. I said Hobbit town. That little halfling town is just so cool looking, and I love it there.
I always thought it was pronounced Lidl.
Lidl, maybe, I don't know. I pronounce things whatever.
I see.
The next question is from HJKSOS. I don't know how I pronounce that name. And he asks, what do you usually do when not role-playing on the server?
You can usually actually find me playing Left 4 Dead 2, shooting zombies day in, day out.
If we're talking free time, usually if it's not role-playing on the server or not building on the server, it will probably be writing or researching things in various conjunction with the server. Otherwise, reading. Lots and lots of reading.
Okay. And the next question is from Kaza125. He asks, would you like the Game of Crowns to return? If so, how would you like it to be different?
I can't answer that question.
Oh no.
I don't even want to know.
I'm quite scared now. Would I want it to return? At this point in time, no. In the future, I think it would be interesting to see it come back, but perhaps in a less, I would say, engineered way. If something similar to the Game of Crowns were to start rolling, of its own accord, that would be pretty amazing. Again, whether or not that would happen is another story, but only time will tell.
And this question, I think Mitch was looking forward to. It's from Mind Turtle Trap, and he asks, how many times have you crashed the server and why?
Oh no. Okay. I had admin powers for one day. It was like my first few hours in learning the command. And I went to go help someone out with a world edit request. They paid the diamonds. It was just help making a giant hole for some mountain. I think it was a lovely band of dwarves. And as a joke, I filled the thing with cakes. Or that's what I wanted to do. At the time, the idea of cakes was 92, and the idea of nether portals, or I think 91.
Oh.
So I accidentally created 6,000 nether portals inside of there. And Oh no. And and every time I logged on to try and fix it, it would crash the server. And anytime anyone logged on in render distance, it would crash the server. And so Sally had to get
Oh,
her
God.
ult from like chunks and chunks away to slowly crawl towards the area and remove nether portals.
Oh my god.
And I've crashed the server numerous times since then. Oh lord, I am a horrible staff member. And I think the most recent time I've crashed the server, as you all know, was with the giant hole in Port Silver. And props to Baron for fixing that up because I ended up doing it right before I was taking a trip off somewhere. It felt horrible.
Michcat has also less famously murdered my poor toaster laptop thing. It's already on its last legs. And
I shouldn't be trusted with anything.
Your wall, it killed it many times.
It was a work in progress.
I tried. But no, I haven't crashed the server any times myself because thankfully I don't have the permissions to.
It's okay, Cherry. Soon I will train you in my ways.
Oh no.
And I think this is the last question of today. It's from Exclaimer, and they ask, "How is your work ethic regarding anything, and how do you keep it up?"
What work ethic?
Oh shush, Mish.
I generally go with do everything worth work ethic. I overwork all day, every day. Chugging, choo choo.
What about you, Cherry?
Well, I seem to suffer from some curious affliction, which means I can be working all day and seeming to be doing really useful stuff, and at the end of the day, nothing useful has been done. But a load of other useful things that I hadn't originally intended to do have been done. For example, today I did a really intricate doodle when I was supposed to be doing something else. But no, how do I keep that up? Well, keep that up. That's not too difficult. But keep a genuine work ethic up when I really do need to get stuff done. Hollowworld, basically.
All right. And now we're gonna move into the final thing for today. Since we are running short on time, I'm only gonna ask a couple questions, but this is the game of what would your character do? So here's what I'm gonna ask. If your character was offered the position of Queen or King of Altera.
Oh God.
Hi, Cherry.
Hi, Mish.
This is. I suppose Cherry's going to be answering this with Freya.
This is decidedly awkward.
Cherry, you go first. I need
Oh, God,
need
no.
a moment.
I'm not going to be able to answer this straight face. Oh God.
Well, who wants to start it out?
Well,
I'm
like I said, I assume Cherry's answering with Freya. you go on, Cherry.
You're horrible.
Go on,
You're
Cherry.
a horrible individual. I love you, really. Well, probably resort to, oh God, what?
Probably
This is
fall
probably
silent, stare at
bad
everyone, and what was it she
I
did?
wonder what the hell is going on, and how, if everyone has lost their minds, or rather specifically, if certain people have lost their minds.
Tzemek would run very, very far away. That character is not the character who would be ever interested in anything of that sort.
Okay. I could just I couldn't imagine Temek playing, Altera. the final question for this little subject we have here is, if your character was stranded on a desert island with no one there, how would they react and what would they do?
Well, they would probably grow lots and lots of plants. Or try. My character generally has a couple seeds on her because it makes her feel better. It's an odd quirk of hers. So she would probably, like I said, just try to grow lots and lots of plants and die of heat stroke.
Environment. Well, Freya would probably hope that smoke signals work, and failing that, if there's very, very few supplies on this hypothetical desert island, swim, because, yeah, you're not going to get very far on a desert island.
Yeah.
Might as well try.
All right, and so to wrap us up today, we are going to spotlight a thread and a piece of artwork that someone has put together. First, we're going to spotlight the thread, and this thread has been around for about a week. I can't remember the exact date. A couple weeks, actually, maybe. It is the A Word for Your Day thread. It was posted by Squidzoid. It features, just listing one word for your day, and each day everybody posts a word about their day. It's a great thread. It's located in the basement section of the forums. If you'd like to check it out, I encourage you all to check it out. It's a pretty cool thing. And for the piece of artwork, we are going to be sort of doing the collab of the merfolk, or the fishfolk, sorry, that Mitch and Bet have put together. The specific piece of artwork that we're doing is the one of Amire, Sanguine Dormus, which I think is a great, absolutely beautiful. I think it might...
Shout out to Betamus for being amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it might be popping up on the screen here on the actual live stream if Rue can get it up. If not, you can check it out on the Fishfolk thread located in the artwork section posted by Bet. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the podcast for today. Look for the next announcement on when the next one will be. I'd like to wish you all a farewell and a happy role-playing. Say goodbye, Mitch and Cherry. Thank you for joining me again today on this podcast.
You're very welcome.
No problem.
I hope we all enjoyed our time here, and a big shout-out to Rue for helping with technical things and getting the live stream up. This will be posted on the forums as a recorded YouTube video, I believe, a SoundCloud, and I'm not sure what else. So make sure to look for that. I wish you all a great day, happy role-playing, and stay away from the corrupted.
I hope everyone has a lovely rest of the evening.
Seconding that.